And welcome to the Oddity Archive, the show that always does its penance. Geez, you take a few cheap shots at children and suddenly you're just the embodiment of everything evil in this world. So, yeah, as such, as required by unwritten YouTube law, I now have to devote a video to something that will hopefully win back the demographic that I just alienated. And I've said this before, and I've said it in interviews. I try to avoid stuff on this show that I really genuinely do not like. But I think I'm kind of stuck today. Case in point, I just don't like children's music. I don't find anything wrong with it. I just don't like it. It just doesn't appeal to me. But guess what we're talking about today? Wonderful. But if I have to suffer, so do you.
I like a bouncing ball. I like bumblebees. I like a big balloon blowing in the breeze. I like a billion things that all begin with the letter B.
And with that, you've already got a taste of today's first records. So don't let that cute little 45 on the turntable fool you. That is just a very minuscule part of the mother of all bad Kiddie releases. So this is going to be a first for us here in Archive Land. This is going to be the very first time that I've ever reviewed a boxed set. And this is specifically a 12 EP boxed set with a grand total of 50 songs that clocks in at an absolutely unholy 2 hours and 10 minutes. And yeah, I think this may very well be the most diabolical thing ever put out by Pickwick. So, from roughly 1973, this is 50 fun-learned songs like Sesame Street. Brilliant title. And this has got to be the ultimate exercise in quantity over quality. For example, there's only a very precious few pre-existing Kiddie songs on here. Probably 90% of this box is comprised of stuff that was written and recorded specifically for this project. And it was obviously done very cheaply and very quickly. And then to add insult to injury, the recordings themselves, they've been compressed to death, or at least as much as you can on vinyl, and then just slapped on the world's cheapest 45s. I think I may have inadvertently discovered asbestos 45s. But, you know, it all makes it sound that much better and that much more shrill on your 3-year-old's Fisher-Price record player.
We'd listen to the songbird as he's singing in the trees, the sound of rippling rivers and the music of the breeze. We'd bring them home so you could hear them anytime you please.
That's what we do for a friend, so just as sure as there's a springtime and a summer every year.
Sometimes we visit our cousins. It's a lot of fun when we do. Sometimes we visit our uncle and aunt, 'cause they're all our family too. Well, there's my father and my mother and my sister.
For the sake of my and everyone else's sanity, but actually mostly just mine, I would now like to present to you what is admittedly the all-time most unfair, out-of-context, skewed montage that I've ever inflicted upon you. Although calling it a montage is not entirely accurate. I think this might qualify more as a supercut, actually. But anyway, This was pretty much the only way I could make this absolute abortion of a box set even remotely amusing. Enjoy.
Your birthday comes just one day every year. So let's pretend that fun day is now and here. 'Cause if this were your birthday, then my friend, here's the happy birthday I'd pretend.
So sing with me. Look at me. I'm a tree.
We'll be clocks too, at 12 o'clock high. In our little ship that sails the sky. What'll I wear today? Oh, what'll I wear today? That's the dress I'll wear to town.
I wish I was a fuzzy fox, I do, I do. I wish I was a fuzzy fox, I do, I do.
That's a grand something to be for me, for me, for me.
So step right up, come on and meet the one and only me.
Let's send a shot across her bow.
Hullabaloo, hello.
We've stopped her and let's board her now.
Prettiest elephant you ever did see. Elephant on a feather, feather on the wing, wing on the bird, bird in the egg, egg in the nest, nest on the twig, twig on the branch, branch on the tree, way in the woods and the green grass grew all around, all around.
How does the snake talk? What does he say?
The snake says, and how the showers make the flowers grow.
Saw a computer yesterday. You know, one of those big machines for doing all kinds of brain work with. Well, I don't need one of those.
1 and 1 are 2. 2 and 2 are 4. If I chose to use my toes, I could count some more.
That's 10 'cause it's something you've got to. That's 10 'cause it's something you've got to. That's 10.
Do you have a book? There's history, excitement, and adventure waiting for you when you take a look. There's oh so much to learn every time you turn.
There's a funny little book I keep, and in it is every little word of the funny little things I've seen.
I guess there's all kinds of people with different things they do. All kinds of people, different from me and you.
You say yes, I say no. You say stop, I say go. That's okay, 'cause who's to say we've always got to agree? There's room enough in this big old world for you and me.
My name is Ben Minot, and I just ate a sandwich. A tuna fish sandwich, if you're curious. So let's switch gears from the most offensive to the least offensive of today's albums. Now, aficionados of the 70s singer-songwriter movement probably are aware that there was this occasional odd, though not entirely unpleasant tendency of some of these people at making Kiddie records. And the two most famous ones would probably have to be Carole King's Really Rosie album, and then the Sesame Street In Harmony album, which was loaded with artists like James Taylor and Linda Ronstadt. So with that in mind, this next album comes to us by way of a relatively amateur singer-songwriter by the name of Carla Piper. And this is what I think is her first album. I'm not positive, but it's called Say Hi. And this is from 1976. And if you're so inclined, the vast majority of this record can be listened to for free at Carla's website, which is soundpiper.com. But anyway, if you were to peruse the back cover of this album, and I'll let you do that during the montage, you would think that this was some sort of really cold, overtly academic stab at a Kiddie record, or maybe just some sort of new agey thing. But this is actually a pretty straightforward and, like most Kiddie records, pretty repetitive Kiddie record. Just, with a little bit of a 70s singer-songwriter bent to it. So, the best way I can describe this album is, if you remember back in the first season of Archive when I did that episode on Kiddie show hosts and the Magic Garden out of New York, imagine if those two ladies tried to make a mainstream 70s pop rock singer-songwriter sort of record. That's pretty much how this sounds. Albeit there are a few completely odd, inexplicable digressions into Renaissance folk on this record for who knows what reason, as I said. And as you'd expect with any archivism, there's quirks like the one I just mentioned, but the biggie to me is actually this album's closing cut, which is this nearly 7-minute long smooth jazz fusion sort of jam / Kiddie tune. And somehow we've taken these totally disparate worlds and mashed them together, and I'll give it this much, it's not entirely unsuccessful.
Jump as high as you can. Can you jump like a monkey? If you think it's funny, just be careful where you land. We all are jumping in the animal parade. We'll jump like a monkey, up and down, all jumpy. Jump like a monkey in the animal parade. It makes you feel good, it makes you feel fine. It's a good thing to do any old time. And when you're through, there's more to do. I've got something new for you. Sit down, sit down. Everybody dance, everybody dance, dance. Everybody move your feet to the dance beat, dance. Come on, come on, come on, come on, dance, everybody dance, everybody dance. Dance. Can I touch your ear? Can I touch your ear? You can touch my ears too. Touch my ears too. We're touching ears 'cause you like me and I like you. Listen, what sounds do you hear? Listen, what sounds do you hear? Listen, listen, what do you hear? Listen. It's the sound of a telephone ringing.
I usually avoid overtly religious stuff here on the archive unless it's a total scam or just completely bonkers. And as you've probably guessed by now, yes, this is going to be one of those rare days in archive land where we find religion. But rarer still is the fact that this last album was not a scam. It was just weird. So, story time. Once upon a time, there was an evangelist by the name of Von R. Psalm, or as he liked to call himself, Captain Hook. Now, in all fairness, there's a certain method to the madness here. When Vaughn was 17 years old, he got into a really awful motorcycle accident that literally cost him an arm and a leg. And as was still the norm in the early 60s when it happened, he wound up with a wooden leg. And maybe not so much the norm, he did wind up with a hook for a hand, hence Captain Hook. And of course, the accident is how he arrived at his, shall we say, calling as a preacher. Now, Vaughn made at least 4 albums, Kiddie albums, during his lifetime, but he's probably better remembered for his religious kids TV show, which ran for many years and only ended when he died in 1993. And, well, this is what that show is best remembered for now.
My name is Sharky and I'm part of the crew. I've got a pirate rap just for you. We're sailing these seas to let you know it's not always cool to go with the flow. Ha ha ha! Buddy!
But of course, this episode is about records. So anyway, this is the 3rd album that Vaughn Arsom, or Captain Hook, put out, and it's credited to, as are all the rest of his records, Captain Hook and his Christian pirate crew, which meant Psalm, his family, and the ventriloquist's dummy that you just saw there. But anyway, this album is from roughly 1972, and it's called Shiver My Timbers. And over a mere 27 minutes, among other things, we are treated to some kind of oddball sermons, and we get some pretty unfunny stabs at comedy sketches, and then there's a bedtime story here, a pretty gruesome and not so thinly veiled autobiographical bedtime story. And to me, the weirdest of all is, for how hardcore this guy was about his faith, I'm really surprised that he made any attempt whatsoever at staying current, at least as of the early 70s. But then again, it might have been just some sort of attempt at appealing to the kids. So there's a couple points on the album where he takes secular pop music hits of the day and does religious adaptations of them. And most notably, he tackles Joy to the World, which instead of, just covering the hymn, he actually mutilates Jeremiah Was a Bullfrog, Joy to the World.
Ahoy there, matey. The golden age of piracy is not ended. A stout-hearted captain still sails the high seas. After losing an arm and leg in service, I still terrorize the enemy, the devil, in mighty Christian battlings. I, Captain Hook, aim that all children have full share of God's blessings.
Joy to the world, all the boys and girls. Trust in God and you will see it's joy, you and me. Joy to the world, all the boys and girls.
The only way he can live is for us to take his crushed arm and leg off. Oh, this broke his parents' heart. But they said, "Oh, doctor, do whatever you must do to save his life." Many days later, he woke up. He didn't know where he was or that he'd even been in an accident. His mother told him exactly what had happened to him. He immediately realized he'd almost died and he wasn't even a Christian. So he called on the Lord right there in that hospital room. God asked him to be a preacher, a Christian pirate preacher.
Mommy, this is the story of Daddy.
Well, you said you wanted to hear a story with a happy ending.
Long, long time ago, I did not know the Lord. Started out seeking salvation to help my situation. I had never known what it meant to be free. But when I got down on my knees, something got a hold of me and I was wrapped up
tied up, tangled all up in Jesus, Lord, I'm wrapped up, tied up, tangled all up in Jesus, Lord, I'm wrapped up.
Hello, Sharky. How you doing?
I'm Mill doing, Fatso. How are you doing?
My name is not Fatso, and please don't call me that anymore.
Hey, are you still on that seafood diet?
What seafood diet? And what is a seafood diet anyhow?
Well, you know, you eat all the food you see. Roses are red, violets are blue. Your mother was pretty, but what happened to you?
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found, was blind, but now I see.
The real thing in the back of your mind.
Well, that's it for today's archive. Join us next time when I come to you live from a hospital bed where I'm being treated for liver damage because of the sheer tonnage of Tylenol I had to take while making this episode because of all the headaches I kept getting from listening to too much Kiddie music.
I'm on my way to heaven. The journey won't seem long, for Jesus walks along with me, and in my heart he gives a song. Yes, in my heart he gives a song. I'm singing joy.